noticed that a lot of children, that there was this need to be strong from the inside out. That, whether it was a natural disaster, whether it was someone died in the family, whether it was just getting a really bad grade on a test in school, kids needed to learn how to be strong and not be so outwardly focused, but be inwardly focused. The more I travel around the world and work with children and meet parents and meet healers, I see that they're all the same. Especially with children, but sometimes often with adults as well, there's like this hang up that, nobody wants to go to therapy. It doesn't matter how screwed up you are or how you think you are, No one wants to be thought that there's a problem. Everyone needs a mentor, whether you're needing a mentor for soccer, learning how to play soccer, and you're getting coached on how to kick the goal into the net, or you're getting coached on happiness. How do I become happier? How do I let go of challenges? How do I not let that kid on the playground who's teasing me really get to me? So I knew that there was a need to help children and also to help the adults of these kids. And I really didn't want to call it counseling because although it really is like counseling, it comes from a different place of saying, hey, everything's okay and how can we make it better? And to me, that's mentoring. To have someone who's farther along on the path say, hey, I've been there and I've done that. I was a sensitive kid myself. So I know what these kids are feeling. I intuitively know, and I know from firsthand experience, like what it's like to be extremely sensitive in a not so sensitive world. Growing Happy Kids is a book I wrote that came out in 2012. It won several awards, which I'm very proud and delighted with. It's a book that really is, I wrote it to help adults, whether they're parents or teachers or healers or any adults nurturing and caring for children, to help them develop a deeper sense of resilience, a deeper sense of confidence in these children. And that deeper sense of confidence lays a foundation for a deeper sense of happiness. It's a book that brings Eastern wisdom to Western parents and is based on my background, having studied Buddhism and some Eastern traditions. But I make it available for anyone from any faith and any tradition to pick up this book and make it work for you. And one of the things that I'm really delighted about that adults have told me from all over the world is that, forget children. This has really been helpful to me. So that is rewarding to me because I know that it, regardless of whether you have children or not, if you can get something out of it, that's wonderful. I know no matter where you come from, what walk of life or what your background is, it's really important to develop that resilience that I wrote about in my first book, Growing Happy Kids. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, but that's valuable. My second book, The Energetic Keys to Indigo Kids, is about these children, the Indigos. And one of the reasons I wrote the book is because more Indigo children have been coming into my office, and they're unlike other sensitive children that are just sweet and sensitive Indigos. Not that they're not sweet, but they have a fierceness. They hold something that the other children don't have. They have a high sensitivity and a high level of fierceness. So they seem like opposite qualities, but the truth is that they hold them together. So one moment they can be really sweet, and the next moment they can be screaming. So if you don't understand how to work with them and parent or raise them from an energetic level, there can be challenges. Oftentimes people come to me, it's not a lifelong relationship, right? It's like there's an issue, they want help with it, they want to build skills, and they want to move in the right direction, and then I serve as a resource. So if there's something comes up, you can come back to me. I did work with a young boy in Israel, and his, was just very sensitive, and the school system that he was at just didn't really understand him, sort of pegged him as being difficult and challenging. But as soon as we started working together with him and helping his parents explain to the school what was really going on, they shifted how they worked with him, and he was able to really thrive. Before that, he was just seen as difficult, and they didn't understand why. They thought he was like throwing temper tantrums, and he was getting upset, but they didn't see why he was upset. So now that they understood more of like how to help him, and that he really needed to not necessarily be monitored, but like when other kids were teasing him, it got him really upset and spilled into the classroom. So when they got to see what was going on the playground and how to help him really speak up for himself, he was able to really navigate his way easier, and then the school went easier. When I work with children, I just naturally feel at home. So I had a client who was in southern England. She was entering a new school and she was having challenges, right? Other kids She just felt overwhelmed a great deal. So I helped her learn how to manage her emotions and how to look at the situation and how to make friends. We did some role playing, and I taught her some scripts, and I taught her how to manage her emotions better when she gets upset. We talked about options and how to handle things. And even though she was overseas, we were able to meet once a week for 3 months, and it made a huge difference in her life. And her mom was so grateful and so thrilled. They had tried all sorts of different alternative things, meaning energy healing and lots of things that I believe in, but it turned out she just needed someone who was farther on the path to help guide her on her way. The mentoring program isn't designed so that, we mentor forever. It's really to help you when you need guidance so that you can move forward in your own life and that your son or daughter can build those skills, because the goal is to help give them the tools they need to have a successful life. That's a great question of how to help kids, what I would say, shield themselves, meaning the kids that just pick up naturally the energies around them, which some can be really wonderful and beautiful and amazing and loving, and other times it's really challenging, right? Especially if they happen to catch what's on the news, or they overhear people talking, or they go to a mall that's really crowded and they can feel the anxiety, and just everyone's got all different energy and they pick it up like a sponge. Whether they're young kids and they say when they wake up, bubble up, and they imagine a bubble around them that protects them, that could be really great. I like teaching kids so that they can do it themselves, so that they would say bubble up, because in school they might feel uncomfortable, or their child that I work with who saw kids being bullied, but they were not being bullied themselves, but they picked up on all that energy and started to cry and get upset themselves. So they needed to not only shield themselves, they needed to clean and clear their energy and restore their energy and then protect themselves. So what I would taught that child was to, say clear. Literally, just say clear and then shield. Say the word shield. And then, if they still feel they had anyone else's energy, they can take a bathroom break or a nature break and go wash their hands and imagine all that stinky energy coming off their hands. Because the important part is that they feel empowered, that they can control their energy, that they can learn how to master their vibration. So whether it's saying bubble up or shield, like Harry Potter's shield charm, the point is that they're able to really empower themselves and feel like they can protect themselves. And some children believe in angels, so they might just imagine Archangel Michael around them protecting them, or they might feel like they need to feel a different color. They might feel like, surround me with pink, or surround me with blue, something that makes them feel protected and surrounded. So I think the idea of helping children use their own tools is really important. They can come up with creative ways to shield and protect themselves, but they certainly need to get like a starter, to have that conversation, have those scripts, and have those tools to begin with so they can start that process. Children, by their nature, everyone learns differently. Some kids are very audio learners. So if you were trying to teach them how to read visually, that wouldn't work as well as having audio books or reading to them. So everyone learns in a different way. And particularly sensitive children, and particularly indigos, they learn in a different way. They are multidimensional. They download information from the highest source. So when you're asking them questions and they're looking like in their mind, like they're traveling to the mental mall, they're in their imaginations, they're going somewhere else, getting the information and bringing it back. I find that if a family can find the right school system, everything else can typically fall into place. But if they're in the wrong school system, it's challenging because kids are not building their self-esteem and their confidence, and they're not able to go into the world feeling really capable and able to succeed. And I believe we're all patterned for our purpose. So the challenge often comes in is when your purpose or your gifts don't sort of jive with the school system. So say you're an energy healer and they're not teaching energy healing in school. It feels really awkward as a 7-year-old when your brother has a big soccer gift or an athletic gift and he's got all these trophies and you don't have any trophies. That's why I would encourage parents to start sending these kids early on if they want to get an energy healing class, so they can get a certificate and they can take pictures and they can make things more real for them. And I think that being open-minded, I know that oftentimes we want our children to be certain things. I know I had a family that they said, we wanted a doctor, but we got a little guitar player. It just didn't work for them. I mean, it's not that they didn't love their son. It just wasn't what they were imagining. So really being able to sort of check our own expectations and projections and really see who is this child? What are the gifts they bring to this world, and how can I support them in doing this is really valuable and important, and knowing that those gifts may not show up in school. I find in my own experiences that as long as a child has one other sensitive friend, things go really on a positive trajectory, meaning like it's normalized. If there's one child that is like the only one who's really sensitive and the parents call them hypersensitive and they look like the odd duck, then they don't really take it as something positive. They don't celebrate their sensitivity, and they don't learn how to turn it into a strength, because quite honestly, sensitivity can be a liability if you don't learn how to turn it into a strength. If you go to school and you say, oh my God, these lights are way too bright for me, and then your friend says, you're right, they're too bright for me. What are these people thinking? You feel better. You don't feel like you're the only one in school that says, how can everyone concentrate? It's like, so bright. You feel, and having another child say, okay, I'm going to put my earplugs in. Okay, me too. Being able to really have someone that you connect with on a deep level is important. Parents are usually influential on sensitive children, particularly indigo children, because indigos are deeply sensitive. They have that fierce sense of, they have a fierceness to them that looks like almost angry energy. It kind of comes out as a warrior. And they can go in either direction really well, giving you a kiss on the cheek, or they can start screaming. So depending upon how you respond to children, they will respond back to you in a similar way. So they mirror our energy. So if we go at these kids like, what are you doing? Why haven't you cleaned your room? And that's going to make everything worse. That's going to escalate everything. Opposed to going to the children and say, what can I do to help you clean your room? What is it that you need that's going to move this room? And that's a different situation. But we have to be sort of humble and intelligent enough to ask them, what do you need now? And also, of course, we've talked about choices. Kids need a voice and they need a choice. So they need to be able to speak what they want, and they need options, right? You can do your homework after school. You can do it before you go to bed. You can do it after dinner. Which one is going to work for you? The idea of you doing your homework is absolutely going to happen, but you get to choose how that happens. That's how kids thrive. It's like honoring them as intelligent, capable beings and working with them. When you take away their power and say, you must do this, a very authoritarian approach, that never works out. We often will parent or teach the way that we were parented unless we take a conscious pause and say, okay, what really worked? What did my parents do really well? What do I want to keep? And then say, what did they not do as well? And what do we want to discard? Maybe we don't spank our children. We know that that's not an intelligent move, That doesn't work in the American culture. So, what is it that we no longer want to continue? We all have our options, but teaching kids responsibility, that they're responsible not only for their lives, but for their happiness, and that they have control over their emotions is a really big deal. When you're young and small to the world, you feel like your emotions are much bigger than you. And that's a natural feeling. But when you begin to learn that you're bigger than your emotions, that's when you start to gain control, when you can manage your energy. And then you can learn other skills to help you succeed in the world. Anyone who is interested in learning more about my work, they can go to highlysensitivekids.com. I've written articles for Psychology Today and PBS, and there's free chapters online, and also free radio interviews if you want to hear it again in a different way. So there's certainly ways to connect with my work and to connect with me if you're inspired and want to do the e-mentoring or learn more about that. I welcome that. It's a real delight to be able to talk to parents and healers and professionals all over the world, because clearly I'm one person. So the more I can help other people, the more that this just uplifts the consciousness of the planet, and that we all get to be who we came here to be, which is the goal, to help these children to really be who they came here to be and shine their light and let the world evolve into the next best iteration of itself. And that's an exciting place to be, and I think it's an exciting time to be alive, and I'm delighted that we can connect in this way.